Hello, good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight, Wednesday evening. I'm Roger Johnson. Thank you for joining us. Our top story. The parents of the Southport knife attacker could still face charges as police confirm that they will look at evidence given to the public inquiry. His mother and father admitted that they had failed to report his violent threats. Also tonight, tributes to Baroness Helen Newlove, who has died suddenly. She used her own family tragedy to help others. The post office mystery. Why did 10 post offices on Merseyside close overnight? Sam Wilde from Manchester fought against Franco. 90 years later, the Spanish government offers his family citizenship to say thank you.
He was a very cool man, my dad, but he might not say anything, but I think he would be delighted. I think he would, as would my mother.
An MBE for the grieving dad who used his family's loss to help save other children.
And it's another wet evening out there this evening. We've got more rain to come over the next couple of days before it quietens down for the weekend. I'll be back at the end of the programme.
Merseyside police will re-examine evidence given by the killer's parents to the Southport inquiry to decide whether they should face charges. Last week they apologised to the inquiry for failing to report their son's violent behaviour before the attack. Let's go live to our Merseyside reporter Andy Gill. He's in Liverpool at the town hall where the public inquiry is taking place. And Andy, just explain first of all, because the police said at one point that there would be no charges against the family.
That's right, Roger. In January of this year, when Axel Cabana was jailed for 52 years, Merseyside police said they would look at whether anyone who had assisted him or had failed to prevent his crimes should face charges. But then in June of this year, the police said they'd looked at the evidence, they'd looked at the legal side of things, and they said they didn't think there was a realistic prospect of getting a conviction along those lines, and they said there would in fact, at the time, they said there would be no further charges relating to the Southport attack.
So the big question, Andy, is what has changed now?
What has changed is the evidence given here at the Liverpool Town Hall by Axel Cabana's parents. They said that they apologised for failing to stop him. Basically, his father Alphonse admitted he should have called the police when he accepted a delivery of a machete for his son. He said he should have called the police when his son tried to take a taxi from their home a week before. His mother, Letitia Muzarewa, said that there were many things that she and her husband regretted not doing, and she apologised for the failure to act. Now, that evidence provoked a furious response from the families of the three girls, B.B. King, Elsie Stankham and Alice de Silva Aguiar, who were killed in that attack. They said that that evidence showed that the attacks were not inevitable and that they were the result of neglect. Now, today, Merseyside police issued a statement saying, "We will obtain the transcripts from the inquiry of the Cabana parents, that is, and assess whether the new information was provided that wasn't known before." They also explained why they'd not charged anybody previously. Now, the parents, the lawyers representing the parents of the girls who died, have welcomed this. They say that they express their full support for any re-examination of the evidence, and they say that they're confident that a criminal investigation will result in criminal charges. However, one legal source we've spoken to tonight has said that they expect this new police review to be quite quick because they don't really see the legal avenues down which the police could go. And that same legal source said that they think it's more important that the public inquiry here concentrates on what the public bodies and the agencies did or didn't do, as the public bodies, not the parents, what they did or didn't do in the run-up to that attack in Southport last July. Roger.
Andy, thank you. Andy Gill there. Now, Baroness Helen Newlove, who became a leading campaigner for victims' rights after her husband was murdered, has died after a short illness. She was appointed the Victims Commissioner for England and Wales by David Cameron and was serving her second term in the post.
If they're looking for the mum that's over in the area, they can always come to you, so it's a safety aspect. Yeah.
In recent years, Baroness Newlove has been an advocate for victims of crime. The first Victims Commissioner, She was appointed to the House of Lords in 2010.
I, Helen, Baroness Newlove, do swear by Almighty God.
But Helen Newlove knew the consequences of crime as acutely as anyone. In 2007, her husband Gary was beaten to death by a group of youths. They'd vandalised his wife's car outside their home in Warrington. He went to remonstrate with them and died 2 days later in hospital.
I've had the families in the newspapers saying they're the victims, their sons, it was a tragedy. Well, enough is enough.
And with that, she stood up, not only for her family against Gary's killers, but for all victims who she felt needed a voice.
She turned all that pain, you know, over a process of change into a determination to stop it from happening to others and to get better justice from those to whom it did happen.
Dame Vera succeeded Baroness Newlove when her first term as Victims Commissioner came to an end. But when Dame Vera left the post in 2023, who should the government turn to take caretaker charge again? By now, Helen Newlove was Deputy Speaker in the House of Lords, where her death was announced today.
Helen had such compassion, such courage, and she really was such a very lovely person that she will be sorely missed.
The current Justice Secretary, David Lammy, said Helen was an extraordinary public servant whose life's work and her legacy are defined by courage, compassion and an unwavering commitment to justice.
She saw herself as an ordinary woman speaking for ordinary people whose lives get wrecked by criminal behaviour and who are not given the support they should get to cope and recover with what's happened. So she was a real force.
Baroness Newlove was due to stand down from the role which she defined next month. When I interviewed her last year, she reflected on what Gary would have made of her journey.
Hopefully he'd be very proud.
Sure he would.
You know, and my daughters are proud, even though they don't say it a lot, but they are proud. But it's about humanity, isn't it? You know, we all believe there's a system there to protect us. And when you go in it and you find out it doesn't, it's a very lonely pathway.
Baroness Helen Newlove, the Victims Commissioner from Warrington, who died yesterday after a short illness, aged 63. Now, a teenager who's accused of murdering 14-year-old Ibrahim Sek is alleged to have filmed a rap video after the killing, boasting, "We just done a murder." The prosecution say Ibrahim was on his way to play football with his brothers and his friends when he encountered a rival group, including the three defendants. Manchester Crown Court heard that one of the teenagers handed another a knife and they chased Ibrahim. Two teenagers deny charges of murder and manslaughter. A preliminary report says that a passenger train derailed after hitting a landslip near Shap in Cumbria because a drainage channel couldn't cope with heavy rain. The Rail Accident Investigation Branch says the incident involving a London to Glasgow train happened recently, of course. It occurred when ground around the track became saturated, causing a landslide. On last night's programme, if you were watching, you'll know that we heard complaints that the giant dream sculpture in St Helens is being neglected and hidden away. Well, today the leader of St Helens Council admitted that the authority could do more to promote the statue, which stands on the site of a former colliery close to the M62.
We should be very proud of our mining heritage. We should do all we can to celebrate them and promote that. That was what Dream was all about. It was about the miners' vision who dictated genre what to create, because they didn't want it to be a nod to the past. Yeah. They wanted it to be a nod to the future.
Now, a week after 10 post offices on Merseyside suddenly closed, customers are demanding answers. Residents in one village say they want to know when or if their post office branch will reopen. The local MP says that the communities affected need to know what on earth is going on. As Lindsay Prosser reports.
I don't think that's acceptable.
There's anger and disbelief that a week after this post office in Formby Village suddenly closed, there's no date for it reopening.
I can't believe it, really, because it's such an important addition to the village. It's never, ever empty. Whenever you come here, you never see the post office empty. So I don't know how people are going to manage, especially elderly people.
I think it's an absolute disgrace. It's outrageous that the place has closed overnight with no possible explanation as to why, except for operational reasons, which doesn't mean anything to residents of Formby.
It's a real cheek when this is now my bank.
They keep envelopes for me to deposit cheques. If I go to the branch in Southport, they tell me that if I want to bank cash, I should take it to a post office, and this was my post office. So it was also my bank now by default.
The Formby Post Office is one of 10 across Merseyside, which are run by the same operator and remain shut.
What would you say to the post office?
I would say open it ASAP, or at least give us a good reason as to why it's closed and when it's going to reopen.
Formby's MP has asked those questions, but so far hasn't had any answers.
People went into the branch the day before, there was no indication of this. Suddenly it closes, there's a notice on the door, and all I'm getting from the post office is the same that they've said in the notice on the door, but it's for operational reasons. Not good enough. Post office needs to tell people what's going on.
In a statement, the Post Office says, "We are working hard to restore service as soon as possible. We sincerely apologise for any inconvenience caused by these unplanned temporary closures."
While we were filming here, a contractor that didn't want to appear on camera arrived to do some work. They also couldn't gain access to the post office.
And the sudden closure with little explanation is also worrying for residents.
The notices are very ambiguous, and we do feel that once it's gone, it's gone. It's not going to come back. And this is a lifeline for Formby.
The Post Office says parcels in the branches which have been shut are being moved and customers will be told where to collect them. Lindsay Prosser, BBC North West Tonight, Formby.
The mystery of the disappearing post offices will let you know what happens. So, right, here are some of the other stories that people are reading this evening from BBC News. And cases of modern slavery in Greater Manchester have risen sixfold since 2015. The police there say there were almost 1,000 cases last year. Blackburn with Darwen Council spending £500,000 to cover an empty 1960s tower block in safety netting. Bosses say it'll stop bits falling off while they decide what to do with the building. And Cilla Black's designer clothes will be auctioned later this month in aid of the children's charity Variety. The Liverpool-born entertainer died a decade ago. You can find out more at bbc.co.uk/local news, or have a look, as always, on the BBC News app. Now, events in the Middle East have had a big impact here, particularly among members of the region's Jewish and Muslim communities. There was the October the 7th attack, of course, in Israel, the weekly demonstrations over Gaza and the hostages, and then the recent attack on the Heaton Park synagogue. But in Greater Manchester, a Muslim-Jewish forum meets regularly to foster close community relations, as Phil McCann reports.
A vigil in Manchester's St Peter's Square in 2023, a few days after the 7th of October killings and kidnappings of mostly Israelis. A vigil of grief and of anger.
Free, free!
A march towards St Peter's Square a few days later, protesting against Israel's bombing of Gaza and the Palestinians killed. A protest of grief and of anger. It's been a recipe to pull Greater Manchester's Muslim and Jewish communities apart from each other. Communities often only streets away. But trying with others to keep them together, the members of the Muslim-Jewish Forum.
Overall, people are tolerant and people are not conflating with what goes on in the Middle East over here.
If you speak to people, say, living in Cheetham, Crumpsall, Prestwich, Bury, Salford, where there is a larger number of Muslim and Jewish neighbours, they've actually been very resilient.
Our attendance was basically unaffected. It was the same attendance in absolute numbers and in terms of the mix of people as we would have had if 7th of October hadn't happened.
But that's against a backdrop of influences from overseas, especially on social media, which have divided people.
What we've seen is an increase in hate incidents and hate crimes against both communities.
And the rhetoric and the hostility has really gone off the charts since the 7th of October.
There's always been intense disagreement about the conflict 3,000 miles away.
And nobody's going to listen to us in the Muslim-Jewish Forum over in Israel-Palestine.
But let me come back on this.
I just want to say that...
But there's even disagreement in this forum about whether more dialogue about it would help or just cause more disagreements.
Dialogue means the willingness to listen and be heard, and that's not happening. It's not happening in the places you expect it to happen, which is in universities and colleges.
The strength of feeling is still to be seen on the streets of Greater Manchester, especially in regular protests against the war in Gaza. This was last month.
Personally, they've gone on for too long. I've never known any marches about anything go on for so long.
There's always a risk that when you have marches like that, there are people there who will make remarks, slogans that actually upset other communities. But it's a very fine balance between banning protests and stopping protests because, you know, this is a free liberal democracy.
But a feeling of fear reached its peak for many Jewish people in Greater Manchester in last month's fatal synagogue attack in Crumpsall.
For many people in the community, it wasn't an entirely surprise. There's been something in the air for some time, and it's linked, I think, to all we've been speaking about.
We have not been at each other's throats since then as a city, but rather coming together again.
So to try to bring the communities closer, there's a call for mosques and synagogues to talk more.
The institutions of both communities need to kind of also sit down and have that dialogue. And whereas we are
happening enough at the moment?
That isn't happening at the moment.
I don't, to my recollection, think it's ever happened, and I'm not sure that it would.
There has been interfaith work, but, yeah. But I think it's been sporadic.
The hope now is that the ceasefire deal in Gaza will calm tensions, a political process which impacts and affects thousands of people here. Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Manchester.
Now, as Children in Need Day on Friday approaches, we're taking a look at how the money you raised last year is helping youngsters through the work of charities across the North West. We're doing it every night this week. And tonight we're going to meet Millie from the Isle of Man, who lost her brother to suicide and has received counselling from the Crew's bereavement group.
He was like my best friend. It was such a hard thing losing him. We had the police come to our door and they said that a dog walker had found him. It was awful. I just broke down. I really struggled with it, and I still do quite a bit. It's just like a piece of me is gone. A lot of people don't understand how serious of a thing suicide is and how much it can affect people.
I went into school to see Millie. We just clicked straight away. I had a really lovely relationship and we carried on with our weekly sessions, and then we just had a great bond, which was really lovely.
Time of year as well, isn't it? It really helped almost give me closure, because like I was able to talk through like missing him and everything. It just really helped me like remember him in a good way and not think about the bad things.
It's a privilege to me to be able to see these young people and help them through their darkest times, to have that feeling of knowing that you've helped a young person through their grief, through a really tough time. That's the most special feeling for me.
It's good because like I can actually talk with people who have dealt with loss like me and struggle with it. It makes me feel like almost like understood because they've had a similar experience. When my brother passed, I was very low. I wouldn't really speak to anyone, and I feel like I've definitely improved since I've been with Cruz.
Thanks to Millie for sharing her story. You can find out more about BBC Children in Need, including how you can donate. There's the web address, bbc.co.uk/Pudsey. The Cruise group on the Isle of Man is absolutely fantastic. I visited there a few years ago, and again, thank you to Millie. We'll have more on Children in Need tomorrow. Now, nearly 90 years ago, many men and women from the Northwest went to Spain to defend the Spanish Republic against General Franco's fascist rebellion. Many of them lost their lives. Well, now the Spanish government has passed a law which offers Spanish citizenship to the families of those International Brigade veterans. Anna Jameson has this report.
In the gloom of a winter evening, men of the British Battalion of the International Brigade returned to London from Spain.
They called them the International Brigades.
after 2 years of helping to defend Madrid from the insurgent forces.
More than 30,000 volunteers from all over the world left their homes and lives to fight fascism in a country other than their own.
To volunteer to go and fight in another country for your principles is an incredible feat of solidarity and a quite extraordinary thing to do. These were people who didn't have to, but they felt that it was important to do that.
Amongst them was Dolores' father, Sam Wilde, a working class man born in Ardwick in Manchester.
They believed that if fascism wasn't stopped and if democracy was at stake, they had to do something.
Wilde made a huge impression, rising through the ranks to become the last commander of the British battalion.
For somebody who left school at 14, when I met brigaders, they would speak of him with immense respect. He was very brave. He would never expect his men to do anything that he wouldn't do. He led from the front.
They lost the war, with Franco remaining in power until his death in 1975.
Well, I'd say that there was a sense of betrayal by the Western democratic governments. You know, France and America and Britain had not sanctioned them going there. And a sense of great sorrow and disappointment as well that they hadn't been able to be successful.
Now, decades later, history has come full circle. Under a new law, descendants of volunteers can apply for Spanish citizenship, a controversial move in Spain, where the civil war is still a politically toxic subject.
The argument of the right is that, you know, any issue which rakes up the past like this, they say, is bad because it's opening old wounds. Now, the counter-argument to that, of course, is that you could say many of these wounds never closed at all.
What does this gesture from the Spanish government mean to you?
I mean, all the brigaders are dead now, but for their descendants, they'll be very, very proud. My son's already applied.
Oh, no.
And no, when I get round to it, I will as well.
You're going to do it?
I'm going to do it, yes. Yeah. He was a very cool man, my dad, but he might not say anything, but I think he would be delighted.
Anna Jameson, BBC North West Tonight in Manchester.
Now, there were a couple of kings at Windsor Castle today. That's because Mark King, a dad from Merseyside, who campaigned to get defibrillators in every school after his 12-year-old son died from a cardiac arrest, received his OBE at Windsor Castle today from the King, not an MBE, as I said earlier. Sorry, Mark, I downgraded you, but the King knew what he was giving to Mr. King. Oliver King, I'm sure you remember, we've reported this many times over the years, was taken ill during a school swimming lesson in 2011. Oliver had an unknown but treatable condition, and we followed the work of the Oliver King Foundation, which was set up in his name over the years, and they've given away thousands of defibrillators in his memory. Congratulations to Mark, as Molly Brewer reports.
Mr. Mark King for services to public health.
Mark King's story is one of heartbreak and hope. After losing his son Oliver to a hidden heart condition, he set out to make sure no other family would have to go through the same.
We lost our Ollie in 2011, and once I started reading the stats of how many children we lose a week, it wasn't long before I knew we had to do something. We can draw the curtains, or we can push the curtains aside and come out fighting. And that's what we decided to do for the kids across our country.
Since the Oliver King Foundation began, thousands of defibrillators have been installed in all state schools in England and in other public places. More than 80 lives have been saved.
This OBE that you've got here, this is for him. I'm only picking it up for him, but it's for the people of Liverpool as well. I only had every quality you could ever ask for in a young man. We as a foundation and a family won't let him down.
The foundation has been backed by former footballer Jamie Carragher, and today Mark announced news of a new ECG testing centre opening in Liverpool.
The centre will be about testing kids. They'll come in and get a 12-pad ECG test and at no expense to the parents. And I was standing there with his picture and the medal, and the sunlight broke through the clouds and it looked like the sun was shining on the picture that I had in my hand, and I know he's there. He's here on my shoulder, and he's here in my heart.
Wasn't that a poignant moment? Congratulations to Mark, a wonderful legacy for Oliver. Right, let's move on to the weather. We saw the sun peeking through there symbolically, I think, at Windsor Castle. How's it looking? We've got more northern lights on the way, Keely.
For some of us, you might be lucky tonight, actually, Roger, because I bet it was too cloudy where you were last night. But some of us, those of us who live across Cumbria and parts of Lancashire, had a real treat. And you can tell that it was a pretty intense storm because there was so much red in the pictures. Will you see it tonight? Yes, areas further south are more likely to see it tonight. And like last night, it's likely to be in the early hours of the morning, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, rather than this evening. You can keep the pictures coming into the Weather Watchers page. We're on social media too. A bit of a mixed bag tomorrow, variable amounts of cloud, the best of any sunshine further south. And we will have some showers or showery rain to contend with as well. Now, we've got high pressure building in from the north. That's helping these weather systems stall. So through Thursday and especially on Friday, some parts of the UK will get an awful lot of rain. We're not in the warning area at the moment. But it is wet out there at the moment, and the rain will turn heavier. Around midnight, it'll be at its heaviest, and then it will tend to ease and move away northwards as we head through the early hours of the morning. Still clinging on in for the Isle of Man, parts of Cumbria, a few showers elsewhere, but also some clear spells, and temperatures dropping back to around 10 or 11 degrees. So the best of the sunshine for areas south of Lancashire probably tomorrow. We'll still have that band of rain slung through the Isle of Man into parts of Cumbria. It will gradually fizzle out as it edges southwards, throwing a few showers southwards as well, along with an increase in cloud across Merseyside, Greater Manchester, Cheshire area, where we will get some sunshine through the morning. We're still on the mild side, 13 or 14 degrees. Let's take a little look further ahead then. As we move through Friday, there's going to be a lot of cloud around, the threat of that rain for more southern areas. It won't start off nice at the weekend, but it will improve. But it is going to get much, much colder. Roger.
Oh, Keely, thank you very much. You teased us with a few pictures of the Northern Lights. Lots of you sent pictures in. Here are some of them. Keep them coming tonight as well. Whatever you're doing, have a good evening. Bye-bye.